Hello and welcome to Prep Playbook. I'm Jim Rapier. Week 5 of the prep football season did not disappoint when it came to providing some great action, and we'll be looking back at some of the highlights and ahead to some of the games in Week 6. Also, joining me momentarily will be prep sports writer Josh Preston, who will give some analysis and provide some scouting reports for some of next week's games. Now let's get started. Welcome, Josh. You ready for some analysis, looking ahead and looking back?
Definitely glad to be here for another edition of Prep Playbook.
Fantastic. Josh, there were some big games out there in Week 5, and you covered one of them when River Parish Titans, Hahnville, and Dutchtown squared off. What did you take from Dutchtown's 24-6 victory?
Well, first of all, I guess I got to say I was really impressed with Hahnville's defense. They held Dutchtown to just 3 points in the first half. Some really great plays. They caused 2 turnovers and kept Dutchtown off the board. So that's my biggest takeaway from the game, first and foremost.
In terms of the way that Dutchtown was able to turn it on in the second half, finally get going, thanks to people like Kirk Merritt and everything, what did you take from the performance from the Wildcats in the second half?
Definitely. Dutchtown really got going in the second half. Their running game was really on point. Kirk Merritt, as you see there, he broke 2 long runs. The first one really broke the game open, a 57-yarder, and that made it 10-0. And that Dutchtown kind of ran away with it from there. Will Matthews ran in the second one, and then Kirk, just sealed it off with the 92-yard at the end. So it was a great game.
Another huge game in River between Dutchtown and Hahnville. All right, Josh, let's turn to another matchup of strong programs in Week 5. St. Aug rallied past Curtis 15-13. What did you think about that?
That's maybe one of the biggest shockers of the week. I don't think a lot of people expected St. Aug to come out with the victory in that one, but they've beaten them 2 straight years now, and Curtis is going to be looking to rebound against St. Charles.
Curtis has been playing well, but St. Aug did what it needed to do, and Curtis actually got out ahead in this game. Why do you think the Purple Knights were able to finish so strong?
Well, that defense has really stepped up, along with Hahnville's this week. Theirs is probably the one that I came away with the most surprised about. Obviously, they made a lot of big plays and came up with a bunch of stops to be able to hold Curtis to just, 13 points.
And maybe 2 of the bigger surprises. One, of course, was the lights went out during the game and there was a small delay, but one of the others is St. Aug is not necessarily known for its kicking game, yet the kicking game and a field goal is what provided the difference in the end and the victory for the Purple Knights.
Yep, Appreciate Wiggins nailed it right there towards the end of the game, and they were able to get an interception on the last drive to end it. And Stanley Morgan was big in this game again. He's just a fantastic receiver.
Unbelievable. A great win for the Purple Knights, and I'm sure Cyril Crutchfield is just thrilled with the momentum that they'll carry into district play. We're taking a look right now at that final interception was about to come. But let's move on real quick to the Rummel Raiders, who continue their challenging pre-district schedule by traveling to Dutchtown. Rummel turned it on in the second half and finished it, actually the whole game from start to finish, and dominated 37-6 over Dutchtown. What's your take on that one? Just they're playing with a lot of momentum right now, Josh.
Yeah, I saw Rummel in the opener against East St. John, and they blew by those guys too. And they're just really physical up front, offensive and defensive lines. Brishton Guidry had another pretty big game for them on I know he's got a sack in this highlight package, and you see Maurice Bailey right there almost scoring.
And the play of their line, you talked about the defensive line, but the push of their offensive line is just tremendous. A lot of long runs this year, a lot of room for the backs to move, and Forcades had very good protection, as we see on a pass play right there. He just has had time to throw the ball.
Yeah, definitely. The offense really seems like it's clicking. The running game obviously has been, the linchpin of the offense. They're getting a bunch of yards on the ground with Maurice Bailey, and Devin Hutton, the fullback, is a really big kid, really hard to tackle. And Chase Forcade's been really good throwing the ball. You see him there, and unfortunately a fumble. But
it actually ended up being a Rummel touchdown. They were able to get on it in the end zone. I guess the old adage about games are really won and lost at the line of scrimmage, Rummel is proving that to be true.
Definitely. They've got, one of the best offensive and defensive lines in the state, and I expect them to keep rolling going through the season.
Well, speaking of rolling, let's roll right into some of next week's games, and we're looking at Week 6. It's Catholic League time as district play begins this week with Holy Cross Jesuit, Shaw Rummel, and the St. Aug Brother Martin games. The Catholic League teams combined for a 25-4 record non-district. Josh, what should people expect coming into these games this week?
That's just ridiculous. For them to go, and they've been playing good teams out of district, so that 25 record isn't just, blowing smoke.
They've beaten people like Acadiana. They've beaten like Curtis. We just saw St. Aug. It's not a slouch schedule at all, is it?
Definitely, and this once they get in the Catholic League play, it's going to be ridiculous. I mean, some of these games I'm sure going to be amazing. We got Shaw, we've got Jesuit. Trey Rockets is one of my favorites to watch.
And there's a picture of Rummel as we're going through the pictures here and everything. There's a standout player on every team, but the supporting cast on each team is also pretty good.
Right, and in Brother Martin's case, they've got Jared West that we have there, but they also have Bruce Joe and Swilling, and they've got Jared Singleton on the outside is a really good receiver. And for Jesuit, they've got Foster Moreau at tight end.
And there's Trey LaForge, I believe, scoring a touchdown against East Jefferson.
Yes.
It bodes well for some really intense action and the final weeks of the season, especially as that race begins now and then begins to heat up. Josh, there's also some interesting games coming up in small schools. That's classes 3A to 1A. And these games are Curtis and St. Charles, Newman and St. James, De La Salle, McMain, Country Day, St. Martin's. What's your take?
I'm really interested to see, how Newman comes out. Jabari's been a little banged up, but obviously Kendall Bus is one to always keep an eye on. And St. Charles with Austin Weber, he's had 2 really good back-to-back games, 4 touchdown games in each, I believe. And so, they're starting to roll as well.
And there's a picture of De La Salle. They're going to face McMain. McMain's, I believe, 4-1. De La Salle's 4-1. Excuse me. There's a picture of Country Day in St. Martin's, which is a huge small school rivalry. They'll square off this week. A lot of great games for the fans to attend. If you're going to play multiple choice this weekend and maybe hit more than one game, it's not like you're going to be lacking for games in terms of good games.
Definitely. De La Salle, they've had some really good, they started out really strong this year. McMain as well. De La Salle's got Cole Lewis and a couple other guys that are playing really well, so I expect them to keep rolling too.
All right, last but certainly not least, there's another big game out there to talk about, and that's Landry Walker against its rival, Karr. This one should be pretty intense, shouldn't it?
No doubt. This one's always intense, the battle for Algiers, and both teams are obviously going to come out and play hard. Alden Clark is, the sophomore receiver for Karr. Keaton Thompson is Landry Walker's sophomore quarterback, but LeJean is kind of the leader of the group. He's had a really good year passing the ball. His completion percentage is off the charts.
Is this one of those games that final possession type things, no lead's going to be safe, it's going to be very back and forth?
Right, definitely. I think so. Both teams really have a lot of athletes that can make plays, and I think they'll both be able to put points on the board.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for giving us some input about what's coming up this week.
No doubt. Glad to be here.
And don't forget, you can follow all of Josh's work as well as all of the writers at NOLA.com at highschoolsports.NOLA.com. Well, that's it for this edition of Prep Playbook. For Josh Preston, I'm Jim Rapier. Thanks for clicking on us. We'll see you again next week.